Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Very interesting statements made by Scott Ritter, and it's reported by, in this case, by Mayadin. This is where I got it from, but you can find it in other sources, where in his assessment makes the claim that Zelensky is about to be replaced by none other than Zaluzhny, who's the chief of staff, military chief of staff of the Ukrainian armed forces. Well, let's see. This article comes from Al Mayadin, as I said, and it's from December 20th, 2022. This is the title: Former U.S. intelligence officer, West preparing to replace Zelensky. A former U.S. intelligence officer says that the days of the reign of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky are coming to an end. Let's see what the evidence is to support this claim. Retired U.S. Marine Corps intelligence officer Scott Ritter revealed that the West is laying the groundwork for the overthrow of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to replace him with Valery Zaluzhny, the commander-in-chief of Ukrainian troops. Remember that this guy Zaluzhny got in trouble a few months ago when he had an opinion that was not approved by the president's office, Ukrainian president's office. And he said, okay, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm just going to conduct a war, defend the country. But I was asked a question, so I answered. And he said something like, it seems like it's a popularity contest here. And some people are not supposed to outshine others, if you know what I mean. That was, I think, the person who was discussing the incident. In an interview for the Judging Freedom YouTube channel, Ritter claimed that the West pushed Zelensky into the background, focusing on Zaluzhny as the future leader of Ukraine, end quote. Okay. Well, it's true that lately Zaluzhny and other generals showed up, but what I saw, I'm not trying to deny what Ritter says or anything like that. I'm just bringing you information that I observed, that other generals are mentioned by the name and pictures in Ukrainska Pravda, New Voice of Ukraine, Ukrinform, all three state-controlled Ukrainian outlets, media outlets. Now, before that, I wouldn't hear about any other generals. Zaluzhny, I heard about him like 3 times in 11 months or 10 months of war. And now I read about him in the past 3 days, almost every day. There's an article about him and with a picture. So obviously they try to promote this guy. But the articles I read were talking about him, Zaluzhny, being replaced by a former boss of Zaluzhny. Another guy, I can't remember his name, Sashi, something like that. And another general who is another big shot, who again, his achievements start to be recognized, which before they were not. The only guy's achievements that were recognized were Zelensky's. That's it. Zelensky was the only one. And the military, and I couldn't read names like Zaluzhny, as I said, and the other one, Shaka, I can't remember his name, Shaki. Anyway, according to Ritter, there is a tendency in the Western media to promote the figure of Zaluzhny, pointing out that the days of the reign of Zelensky are coming to an end, as he no longer has the previous power and could not influence the subsequent outcome of events. Well, the military had the power all the time. If you want to be honest about it, Zelensky had no power. Because if Zelensky would say, Zaluzhny, do this, Zaluzhny say, yeah, make me. And if Zaluzhny would say, hey, battalion, go and get Kiev, or go and get, Klitschko, and the weasels, the 4 kosher guys in charge of our country, they would have done it in no time. So who had the power? And I wonder who Zelensky would have spoken to. Hey, go and get Zaluzhny. Who? Only the guys around Zaluzhny, they would probably assassinate him. So there's a little power grab here, or struggle, I think, between maybe the army, and I don't think the army is on the American side. I think the army, on the contrary, is on the Ukrainian side, Ukrainian nation. They know who's who and what's what, because Zelensky is supported 100% by those guys over there from overseas. So he's doing everything what asked to. And besides, if he's not doing what he's asked to, or not asked, told to, there's going to be the military doing it anyway. Because these guys are also controlled by those guys. It's not like, oh, we have 2 guys that are going to oppose one another. Zelensky has no power. He has no guns. That's where the power lies, not in talking and titles. That's bullshit. If he, as I said, Zaluzhny wants Zelensky gone, that would have happened yesterday. If Zelensky wanted Zaluzhny, would be a little bit trickier. So it says, people like, and I'm quoting, people like General Zaluzhny will determine the future of Kiev when the conflict reaches its final stage. It will be he who will sit at the negotiating table from Ukraine's side, end quote, the retired intelligence officer indicated. This comes at a time when the head of the We Are Together with Russia movement, Vladimir Rogov, said the Ukrainian president is using the Ukrainian intelligence services as a sole support force in order to maintain his power and fight his political rivals. Rogov told TASS that Zelensky is making many political enemies during his attempt to build a one-man power system in Ukraine, which will create large opposition forces for him. Former CIA officer Philip Giraldi had also indicated that Zelensky is trying to involve NATO in a direct conflict with Russia, explaining that the Ukrainian president and his advisors are determined to escalate the situation. Could be. All this makes sense, but I think there's so many unknowns that and variables. Because let's start with the beginning. Zelensky is where he is because of the United States of America. We agree with that? Zaluzhny is allowed to be where he's at, again, because of the USA. I am a firm believer, and my observation, knowledge, and pattern tell me that Ukraine is under the US's control. That's what my assessment of all this thing. Like Romania is under the US NATO control. It is. So if you take that, the infighting over there is like United States is the parent and the other two guys are the children that are fighting, and you hear them fighting in one of the rooms. The parent walks in, opens it, walks in, grabs both children, put them to the side, knock their heads, and say, you go and clean your freaking room, and you go in and wash your mouth, you're dirty. Okay, so that's what's going to happen. So it's not, sometimes they don't have to control these things. Let them figure things out. And then you pick up. So let them argue first, figure things out, and when things get out of control or tend to, then you control it, you contain it. So I don't know exactly what's going on there. Neither these guys in what the United States wants. Obviously, we know that it wants to anneal Russia economically, politically, militarily. That's clear. Financially, done. But then you're not winning. What if you're not winning in Ukraine? You pick up your shit and do what? Readjust, replan under the new circumstances. If you're winning, you keep doing what you're doing. But I don't think Ukraine is winning in any way. I think it had a little bumps, but now it seems like they're losing. Or at least it's not winning, let's put it this way. So then how are you going to adjust? You're going to keep this and to drain Russia of its whatever economic power and all that? Yeah, that's what's going to happen. But I don't think the Russians are going to stay forever like this. These guys are on a crack. Or the Russians, right? What are the other options? So probably they have to reevaluate the circumstances. And I don't know if the United States give, what's his name, Zaluzhny, an order, that would be done, completed. The same with Zelensky. I don't think this... Remember those guys that are around Zelensky? Who do you think pays those? Zelensky with his own pocket? His bodyguards over there. Those guys, if they receive the right order, Zelensky disappears. That's how the world is. It's not a kindergarten with mommy and daddy and all that. So I don't know if United States wants Zelensky gone, because if they want Zelensky gone, he would be gone right now, and they would tell him go, and he would be gone. And accidents happen all the time. If you know what I mean, you fly with a helicopter, an explosion happens. All these things happen all the time, and you're not going to find out who did it. Like we don't find out who blew up the Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2 pipelines. We know who. I mean, we know. We logically can reach a certain conclusion, but you don't have the evidence. But you know what I mean? The same here. We might know who killed colonel or general. I don't know if he got the rank of general, I think, after he died. Lebed, remember? With his helicopter. We can, it was an accident, helicopter accident. Okay, yeah, thank you very much. I don't believe that. a second. The same here. You know, when you hear of a big important guy that has a little bit controversial views on things, that he's somehow has a plane accident or a helicopter accident, no. That helicopter was checked 3,000 times before it flew, took off. That was bam bam boom boom ba ba bam. So again with Zelensky, I don't know if Zaluzhny, the Americans want to replace this guy Zelensky, because they can do it in a second. Maybe the fact that he was invited and he came to United States, Zelensky came to United States, it's just a cover up for what is about to come, which is get out. Next person here was going to take it from here. So they don't want to be, when you want to step someone in the back, you have to get closer, right? When you get closer, you have to get cozy. You have to gain, trust. And then when the person drops his guard and trusts you and turns his back, then you. No, that's the same here. The United States invited Zelensky, gives Zelensky the flag, kisses his ass, they listen to him, applaud like seals, and all that. And then when he goes back in 3 days, he's gone. And say, it can't be United States. Look what they did for him 3 days ago. So you think that's not, that's the main suspect right there. What do you think when one of the family members, let's say a couple, one of them dies, who's the prime suspect? The wife or the husband. That's the first one you go to. And you say, how come? Because that should be the last one, because they love one another. They're together. Okay. You don't know. They were the closest. The same here. No, I don't know. Zaluzhny. Zaluzhny might go and be someone else going to be replacing him. But I stated this a long time ago, when Ukraine, when the military, the leadership of Ukrainian military decides that Ukrainian nation is about to collapse, implode, and these guys, the 4 little kosher pigs over there, are going to want to continue. I know exactly whose orders will be stop it or go on. I think it's going to be keep going. I think that could be a little, they call it, right, insurrection. Yeah. Within Ukraine, a little civil war between the military who's going to take over, or factions of the military who's going to split from the main Ukrainian military, and then you're going to have an infight, and the Russians will be like, all right, give me the popcorn, finally. And then everything is going to be turned nastier than it is right now, nasty as it is. And Zelensky, as I said, he is a sitting duck over there. He is going to be, that's why the Russians don't want to blow him up, like out. Take him out, is going to come another Zelensky, another Zmihal, another, I don't know, Joseph or Moses or something like that. Or Anthony Blinken or something, or all those, you know what I mean. So, could be true, could not be true, we want to find out. I think that we might see Zaluzhny out and another general replacing him before we see Zelensky gone. But I would give 50-50 to both, because everything is possible. There are certain things we don't even guess what the fuck is going on over there. And what's the connection? It's like, let me tell you how it is, man. It's bullshit. And the truth is somewhere 3,000 miles from me. But you have to accept that, but it doesn't mean that you have to keep your mouth shut. Because other weasels don't keep their mouth shut and they know even less about it. So, yeah. And then, if you don't know everything right now, when are you going to open your mouth? When are you going to go everything? Never. So then you're going to keep your mouth shut? That everybody needs to keep their mouth shut then, right? No. Anyway, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just, my friends.